All right, so this is going to be my reaction and some of the notes that I took while watching the stadium practice. I intended and planned to go there in person with some of the guys from the Discord. I was unable to make it because of travel concerns. But I made significant notes. I did try to chart some of the plays, but this is going to be a little less scientific than some of the game reaction videos that I've done in the past. If you followed my channel or watched some of those in previous years. I thought the heat had an impact on the pace of the practice. To be honest with you, I thought it looked clear early on that the coaching staff and the players were doing a marathon, not a sprint. And if you just look at some of the indications, I'll use as data there to support that assertion, I guess. Offense and defense guys were rotated in a lot by design. It seemed to be 3 or 4 plays when there was team or pass skelly, or what some people call 7-on-7. And then another group was rotated in. Additionally, with the individual drills that were talked about in the beginning, there was not a ton of reps for each drill, 1 or 2 reps at most for each drill, and then they moved on. And it's not like each guy at each position got an opportunity at each drill. The first and second rep was generally awarded to what would be the starter and the second string guy, and then they would move to the next drill, and the third and fourth string guy would get the first rep in that ensuing drill. I felt like it was a slow pace for offensive drills, which is all they showed on video. Again, I was watching on the YouTube, playback, so I couldn't see everything. Definitely a slow pace, which was smart. I mean, to conserve energy, to ramp things up, and for the team portions later, what we as fans would view as the most important thing is the team part. Todd Monken early on seemed to be in every drill. I thought I saw him in 3 drills in a row. I'm talking about the Indy drills. I know I saw him in a QB drill. He's coaching Lamar on something with a play action under center. And I saw him in a quarterback running back handoff drill. And then I saw him down like high fiving some guys in a wide receiver drill. And it looked like he was talking to one of the coaches. So interesting. I wish we had the all 90 view, for the practice in the YouTube. I can't wait for the technology to. Actually, I shouldn't say for the technology to catch up. The technology is there to give us, when we're watching a game or a stadium practice, whatever view we want. And to control that, it's there. It's just a matter of the human brains, the people that are organizing it, to catch up and recognize that us fans would actually like that. So I didn't call it the All 22 because there's so many people on the field. I'd like to be able to see the whole thing, and just whatever limited experience I have as a coach in planning things, to be able to apply that and give you some of my observations. So here they are. I did miss some plays, obviously, because of commercials in the YouTube stream. I call 11-on-11 team, so just keep that in mind. And I call 7-on-7 pass skelly when there's no offensive and defensive linemen. I thought at first, the first 2 rounds of team, the defense was definitely playing faster. Looked like a lot of man coverage, I thought. And later on, I thought I saw some coverage variations. I did not see a lot of quick plays by the Ravens early, by the offense early, where the ball is out quick. And look, let's just get this out of the way. It's not a realistic situation. They don't have pads on. So, and they're not running the ball out. Now, I didn't see the inside run period. In the previous 2 years when I watched the stadium practice replay, there was an inside run period, a dedicated time period that some people call 9-on-7, meaning there's 9 offensive players and there's 7 defensive players, maybe 8, depending on what the defense is doing. In the team portions, I tracked it. I think I had 16 pass and 4 run, maybe 3 run. So very unbalanced by design. They don't have pads on. They're not going to try to run the guys up inside, or off tackle even. I saw 1 power play off tackle that was under center. So my suspicion is that certain things the D-line was able to do at times, and I'll get to this point in a minute, a little bit more in detail, they would not be able to do in a realistic situation. At some point, they were just kind of flying upfield today. It wasn't just edge players; it was D tackles, and the ball wasn't coming out very quick early. I saw a lot of slow developing plays. I did see 1 RPO that looked like it might have been ran to the incorrect side in terms of the pulling lineman. It was incomplete to James Prochet. One encouraging thing offensively, saw a lot of different personnel groups. You guys can probably hear me flipping through pages. I've got a lot of different personnel groups noted. 11 personnel used often. 20 personnel, which was Ben Mason and a tailback, was used. I think I had it 5 times. 12 personnel, somewhat interchangeable with 11 in some ways, and I did see 21 personnel, I think, twice. Ton of formations. The formations, some people would say, well, everybody uses the same formation. Somewhat, there is some validity to that, but I thought I saw formations being used in a different way than under Greg Roman. I'm going to go back and watch the team portions again. I recorded it off the YouTube so I could watch it again. I did see some Lamar picked up his, I thought, pace with each time that he went out there for team. I thought the first two, the offense was really struggling. I did see him complete a lot of balls against 3 or 4 against blitzes. And what I mean is recognizing the blitz in team, 11 on 11, and then getting the ball out to someone to maybe replace that blitzer, take advantage of that vacated space. He had one complete to Gus Edwards that was a great sidearm play out into the flats on the right-hand side, bottom part of the screen if you were watching, where Kyle Hamilton blitzed off the edge. Just a beautiful throw, perfect timing, sidearm. Another one complete to Likely on a blitz, 2 plays after that, I think. An ensuing one to Justice Hill on another blitz. This was out in the flats. I thought early on he was there. We were off target on the outside throws, and I don't mean to bring up old criticisms of Lamar that didn't actually have a lot of accuracy all the time, but the first throw to OBJ in team, the slot fade was on the wrong side for where OBJ ran the route, but it looked like Rock Ya-Sin kind of pushed him outside, made him flex it more outside. So it was good. That's why the work is good, especially with the Ravens defense playing so much man. There was a fade to Bridges on the left side that I thought was thrown a little further up the field than Bridges thought it was going to be. No idea whose fault it was. Certainly didn't see anything like Greg Roman with the pistol option. I know that didn't see that at all. And again, I thought the first team offense didn't target the wide receivers much initially, other than 2 throws to OBJ. Rock Ya-Sin, to switch it to the defensive side, I thought Rock Ya-Sin played well. I thought Kyle Hamilton broke on 2 balls and would have had an opportunity to hit one time Mark Andrews or maybe even make a pass deflection. I thought there was instances of the DBs pulling up and not challenging in the middle of the field. They were challenging near the sideline where there's more space and there's less people to be involved there. I thought I have no idea what the DBs were told or what the offensive players were told. It's a suspicion to me that they were told you can challenge anything from the bottom of the numbers to the sideline you want. In between the hashes, we're not going to challenge things, but I have no idea how it's explained. Andrews started working people over. Lamar, found him twice on beautiful throws, and I think it was Huntley found him once as well. OBJ on the touchdown, the play action boot type play where he beats Marlon all the way across the field. Yes, there's a hold on the left guard. I think it's a left guard. The rookie, I think the late round draft rookie. There's absolutely a hold there. I don't think Michael Pierce is going to get involved in stopping the play, but the play would have been called back. But even still, OBJ gets open. He beats Marlon across the field. I didn't think Marlon Humphrey had a great day. He had a DPI against Aguilar up top one time late. OBJ beat him on that route. Off screen, the announcers were talking that OBJ beat him one time or, could have possibly been open. I didn't think Marlon had a great day. To me, OBJ is going to be more effective in the red zone. The announcers, I think it was Ryan Mink, hit on it perfectly. That might be where he has the biggest impact, is from the 15-yard line in. There's less space. It's more about contested catches. And OBJ's just got that experience to he had a great catch along the sideline against Rock Ya-Sin, which I think was the only catch against Rock Ya-Sin. So I thought he played well. Let me get to the O-line thing, which I saw was a complaint of some people. And just so you know, I do not share those concerns that other people do, even about the way our offensive line played in 2022. But what they had trouble with today was gap protection schemes. And it wasn't personnel-based, meaning they physically couldn't block guys. It was knowing who to block, in my opinion. And this is, again, after really me watching the practice one time through and watching some of these plays maybe 3 times overall. Each individual play, I should say. So there's no real film study there if I've only watched it 3 times each. But I'll go through, I think, 4 or 5 of them. On the first play where Pierce gets a pass defended, Linderbaum pulls out to the left-hand side of the offense, and no one picks up Pierce. You would typically have the left guard blocking back on someone if the center's pulling. That's the way you've got to do it. That's why I call it a gap protection scheme, with someone blocking back and then a lineman pulling in the opposite direction. No one picked up Pierce, so I don't know who is to blame, but that's the scheme that was used, and Pierce was wide open for the pass deflection. Another one on that same drive, I think, or that same possession, I guess we'll call it. Owe was unblocked on the edge on a shotgun play action. So by design, he's left unblocked. The tight end, which was likely, and the right guard pulled away. Owe sits there, and then he's able to get pressure on Lamar. I'm not sure who you blame there. I mean, the design of the play is to leave him unblocked. I don't know if we didn't get multiple views of it, so I don't know if there was someone who wasn't open. Another one that I think someone shared on Twitter, Linderbaum is blocking back on Matabike while the left guard is pulling away. So similar to the first play that I showed, that I talked about, except this time it's not Linderbaum pulling. He's the guy blocking back, and Matabike is just flying upfield. I mean, Matabike is just flying upfield, not reading the block at all. To his credit in this situation, we're at a game situation where it's 1st and 10, could be run or pass, and the guard pulls away from him. Matabike's flying upfield. He's putting himself out of position for a run play away from him. I don't think that's a Justin Matabike thing, because he's one of my favorite players. I'm just letting you know that in these situations where there's very little threat of run plays, there is an element to it where a D end or a D tackle or a nose tackle can see a guy pulling away and just ignore it. Whereas normally you would follow the pulling guard. You would try to defeat the back block by the center. But in any case, Linderbaum didn't do a good job of that one. I thought his step was slow. Morgan Moses handled Tavius Robinson one time easily off the edge, then got beat by Owe and something on a play that's been shared multiple times. That was a nice rush by Owe. The timing of it with his hands and dipping underneath of Moses on the outside was great. Then the very next play, Owe tries to, since he's beat him on the speed rush, theoretically, he's coming back inside with a spin, and Moses handles it easily. So interesting dynamic there between those two. I think it's a good matchup. I'm not sure who 48 is. I want to say Moon. In terms of an edge rusher, I'm still talking about pass pro. Beat Ben Mason easily off the edge. You'd have to question at that point a fullback being assigned one-on-one to a more typical edge rusher. I know we're not talking about our starters there at fullback or edge rusher with Moon. If I am correct that he's 48. But my point is that that's a situation somewhat similar to last year where Oliver was assigned to block a backside edge player, and that guy ended up rolling over Lamar's ankle, I think. 2 plays where I think interesting. I wonder, I suspect that the guards are pulling in the wrong direction. One of them I mentioned earlier, a completion to Justice Hill. I think the right guard is pulling from the right-hand side of the offense to the left, and Justice Hill's on the opposite side of the formation, crossing the guard's face, and they probably passed within 1.5 feet of each other, if I remember correct. I'm not as concerned about the pass pro today as others were, from what I saw mentioned on social media for some of the reasons I listed. The lack of run-pass balance because there's no pads on. It's not a real game situation. Number one. Number two, the defensive linemen, particularly a couple of the reps I talked about and tried to explain, pulling linemen away from them and no recognition, just flying upfield. Not really realistic. In terms of the offense, though, man, the third time that the first team got out there, whoa, Lamar was sharp. The first play was a design play action where there was a hold by the left guard. OBJ touchdown, coming across the field. Great play, showing that he can still run, because he's a step ahead of Humphrey. Of course, it's all the way across the field. Don't get me wrong. It is an under center play action with one running back, so a little concerning to me because that was our tendency last year was under center, one back was play action, but we'll talk more about that later. Very next play, I think there was some pressure, maybe through the B gap on the right side between Zeitler and Moses, but I'm not sure. Lamar does what he does. He just steps up quick, finds Likely. I thought that was a realistic-looking play for me in terms of there being some pressure. The defense is playing man. Lamar steps up. Now, maybe the only unrealistic thing is there's no QB spy on Lamar. I wonder what impact it's going to have when guys like Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, OBJ, Andrews are all on the field together, with maybe an Aguilar as well or a Likely. Just do the numbers. If you're going to rush 4, how are you going to spy Lamar and defend those guys adequately? You have to keep that in mind when we're watching the practice today, offense versus defense, or I should say Saturday. I'm trying to publish this for Sunday morning. You have to keep that in mind is that Bateman, Zay Flowers, J.K. Dobbins not out there. Unbelievable amount of talent in those 3 guys. Third play was in this sequence here, the third time there was team or 11 on 11. Prochet out in the flats, very quick play. OBJ complete on a diving catch was the 4th play against Rock Ya-Sin. Lamar's timing, he was sharp on those plays right there. Just quick completions. The design play action, the first one to OBJ was a touchdown. The timing, it was a slower developing play because it's play action, but the pace picked up on those 4 plays, and the fact that it was a receiver, and then Likely, who to me is a hybrid tight end receiver, Prochet a receiver, and then OBJ a receiver. To me, there was a switch that went off that third time they went team. Now, granted, they got the ball on the 20 given to them. The situation was 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. The defense is 20, so I call it the plus 20 for the offense. So they would have had to earn that in a real game. I thought that was interesting. Another thing that I think is going to be interesting about this offense is not just the formations, but the depth. The guys that I mentioned earlier, if they're able to come back, and Zay just sounds like an illness, who knows what type. JK, we have to presume, or I'm going to presume, that he's going to be back in week 1. I have no idea why he wouldn't be. He finished last year healthy, so what's the deal? And then Bateman, hopefully they don't rush him back. If he's not back till week 7, that will be fine with me. Certainly there'll be a lot of people disappointed. I'd be disappointed, but not personally upset with him. But imagine the depth that we have. I think a little bit of hurry up wouldn't be a bad idea. I think pushing the pace on the defense wouldn't be a bad idea with all the depth we have. From possession to possession, we could sub 2 or 3 guys in instead of subbing play-by-play. I'm not saying never sub play-by-play, but you could sub possession by possession and almost like basketball, run people in and out with shifts, or maybe basketball's not a good comparison. Maybe lacrosse or hockey is run guys in and out on shifts and wear down the defense, who presumably want their best 11 guys out there. I think this is an offense that doesn't have a best 11. I think this is an offense that has a best, 17, 16? There's a lot of guys who can contribute here. When you're talking about just 3 at running back, Gus, J.K., Justice Hill, I'm not even including Gordon there, or Keaton Mitchell, who we haven't seen. Wide receiver, tight end. There's a lot of guys who can contribute. I think the potential is there with the depth of this offense and the way Todd Monken sounds like he wants to do things, to play a little quicker and not just be schematically different, because there's a lot to say there, but be different pace-wise. Alter that pace. Kind of like if you ever played basketball, like alter your pace dribbling. You don't always go full speed. You don't always go 80%. Sometimes you go 88, and then you slow down to 78, and then all of a sudden you burst to 100. Change pace within the game multiple times. Keep the defense off balance. I think there's some really interesting options there, not just in terms of scheme, not just in terms of depth, but also with varying the pace. And I felt like Saturday's stadium practice was an illustration of that. Very slow moving in the beginning. That's why I mentioned that in the beginning. Almost intentionally so that the guys didn't get worn out. You didn't have any cramps or anything in a 2-hour. It didn't seem like a 2-hour practice. It seemed like about an hour and 20 minutes watching on the stream. But if you were there in person, let me know. It didn't seem like it went 12:45 to 2:45. The Ravens stream is an hour and 52 minutes, and they really didn't get started with Indy until about 20 minutes in. As far as Lamar goes, I thought he looked sharper and quicker as the practice went on, as the pace picked up. So for the people who have been saying Lamar needs to play in a sped-up offense, he needs to play in a hurry-up, I would say that there's some evidence today of that. Maybe it's just that the design of the practice was such that didn't allow him to get into a rhythm because, like I said, every 3 or 4 plays you were shuffling out. Even during that third period of team, best 11 on best 11, I thought that Lamar only got 4 plays in a row before they subbed him out. So I do have some information I'll try to post up in a document, just formations, if people are interested in it. New formations, I don't really think there was new formations necessarily, but I'll tell you what there wasn't. I had pistol one time. I had shotgun 22 times, 23 times, something like that. Under center 3 or 4 times. My numbers are a little bit off because I think I missed some plays. There was a time where I came back from a commercial. It was 2nd and 9. So clearly I missed a 1-yard play, probably a run play. But I was impressed with the defense, with how fast they played. And to be honest with you, I thought the inside linebackers were not really given much opportunity to make contact with people. I thought there was times where it looked like they could have made contact with guys, and they did not. Maybe they were coached to avoid those situations. I'm not sure. Anyway, you guys let me know first of all, let me know if you think 20 minutes is too long to talk about a practice. I was very excited to get a chance to go and maybe meet some of the people in my Discord and Patreon or just random people, and unfortunately was unable to do so. I was very excited to see OBJ out there competing, making a diving catch on the sideline, beating Marlon Humphrey across the field. I would really like to see some of the young guys get an opportunity. You guys probably know I'm a huge fan of Shamar Bridges and Mekhi Polk. I would like to see them get an opportunity. I thought Aguilar looked good. I thought he caught the ball the one time that it was thrown to him clean, and I thought he, had an opportunity against Marlon, and I want to see more times like that from Lamar. I want to see more times where we got man on the outside and we're going over there, because in the past it seemed like we took the safe bet. Let me let Mark Andrews get open and get the ball to him, and I just think we've got too much talent. OBJ, Bateman, Zay Flowers, Nelson Aguilar. We've got too much talent from the bottom of the numbers to the sideline. And if we can force people to defend that area by alignment a little more, spread them out horizontally, I think the opportunities to run the ball with Gus and J.K., Justice Hill, even Gordon or Lamar are going to be there at a high level, with consistency, I should say. You guys let me know what you think about some of my thoughts. If you share some of my lack of concern. I know other people were real concerned about the offensive line. Not a realistic situation for me at all when you don't have pads on, and when it's the 4th practice in a row. I think the 4th day in a row, I should say, where they had practice. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? If I did my math right. So the coaches are trying to get them in and out of there with no injuries, let them go home and rest Sunday, and then presumably come back Monday ready to work for another long week, because that is a concern when you're doing anything in July and August. My experiences with football, but for you, it could be soccer, it could be field hockey, it could be whatever. That 4th, 5th day in a row, for me at least, was always a concern about guys getting injured because of overuse during that short time period. There's an acclimation period, not just to the heat, but an acclimation period to the exertion level, the consistency of effort that you have to give over 4 or 5 days if you haven't been doing that. For me, that would be what I think would make the beginning of this practice, Saturday's practice, I should say, a smart decision by the Ravens to move slow, intentionally, rotate guys, shuffle guys in and out, so as not to overexert them, allow them to give maximum effort, during brief periods of time for the last 30 or 40 minutes. That's what I thought I saw on Saturday, and it was fun to watch. I wish I could have been there, but if you were there, let me know if it was as fun live as it looked like it was for me on film. Appreciate you guys' time. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this, please consider grabbing a link and sharing it on social media to help this content get more reach.